Hello, this is the relatively short tutorial. I'd like to talk a little bit how to clean up a model created by AI. Couple of things I assume you already watched. So the first one is how to create a 3D model with AI GC, image to 3D. This one is a trellis. I created this Zaha style tower. Then I download the GLB. Just make sure you watch this one first, how to get a 3D model from AI. Another tutorial I assume you probably already learned before. If not, I will put a link there. Is how to create a subdivision model. This is called Rhino SubD. You can create a really smooth geometry, maintain the curvature. And another one I assume you should know. If you haven't, I will again put a link here. Is Rhino remesh. Is a way you can create a quad remesh to change topology of a mesh model. So if it's a triangulated random points, you can create a logic order out of remesh. Okay, so these are the basics, but I will demo this from the scratch. So first, I just want to show you the model I directly download from Trellis. It's a triangulated model, right? It's very random. You do notice it did a good job when you have a sharp curvature. There's the smaller triangles, right? But this model is quite difficult to imagine this can be built as a building because everything is random. There's not really a mathematical order behind. You might also notice there are some edges. I kind of call this as a hard edge. This is supposed to be a kind of like a flat roof or deck kind of component. So in the future, you'll probably want to preserve some of the edges as a hard edge, right? So that's the AI model. So first thing I do, if I want to clean up this model, assume the model is came in as a single object, a single layer. So first thing I will do is do the quad remesh. So here, if you just type quad remesh, right, and then you can see this tool. If it's the first time you use it, I highly recommend you just click the help menu. Just read the instructions carefully. It's cover every single setting you need to know. To keep things really straightforward, I will using the quad count. So this is how many faces you're gonna generate. Adaptive size basically between 0 to 100. So if you make the value as 0, you will have minimum number of faces. And also they tends to be kind of similar size. So this is what I want. But really depends on your situation. If you have a really organic form, you maybe want to bouncing up these values. The reason I want to start with 0 because I know in the future I want to translate this into a SubD model, right? It's a mesh to SubD. So for me, the minimum number of face is preferred, right? But it's really something you should experiment with other values. Alright, so I did this setting with adaptive size at 0 with 2000 faces. Then I will click OK, right? If you really want to learn more like guide curves, for example, you should definitely dig into the tutorials. I think there's a lot of really cool feature you can do with quad remesh. You can dictate the way the meshes break apart, follow some curves, really cool stuff. All right, so here I will just click OK. To save time, I will just show you the result. This take me about 2 minutes because my machine is not very fast. It's a laptop. So basically what you get is the mesh, right? This mesh model is come out of this triangulated, random tessellated mesh into something more regular. So here you can see I have basically every single face as quads, right? 4 points. I definitely lost some of the details you can see from the roof, but that's okay. If you redo it, maybe you want to do 3000 face instead of 2000. But I'm happy. I will start from here. Okay, so this is the mesh model. clean up version. So here, if I check the details, you can see this one probably has 2000 faces. Well, you can dig into somewhere there, talk about the number of faces. Oh, sorry. Actually, I did the wrong one. This is the clean version from the 2000 faces. Yeah, yeah. So here, if I check details, right, you can see this has 1,891 faces. It's pretty close. Okay. All right. So you have this open mesh. You might wonder what exactly means open mesh. It just means the mesh is not enclosed. If you do want to 3D print, it might give you some trouble because this part is kind of open. This one is actually messed up a little bit, but that's okay. I will just using this to create a SubD. In the future, you guys could try a different setting. Okay, so here I will select my mesh and then go to SubD. I will create a SubD from object. So if I do that, actually I will just create one more time. You will see it has a default setting. I will just accept everything. Then I can move this away. Okay, so we got a bunch of different versions. So this one, if I click, is open mesh, right? That's the original one, and this one is the SubD model. And you might wonder, what is the benefit to have SubD, right? So if you're using tab, you can see it's automatically smooth the geometry, right? So SubD always looks very smooth. If you're using tab, switch from the low poly to SubD. It's extremely useful. Even I think for some weird openings, now it looks actually pretty cool. It looks like an entrance to the building. Okay, so that's SubD. I will talk just really quick some of the basics of subdivision modeling. You guys can definitely watch my longer video on the SubD mesh. So here I just do a few things. So first, if you're using tab, you can switch to the low poly. If you're holding Control Shift and click, you can select the face. If you move the face, right, and then switch back to tab, you'll see you are actually sculpting the geometry. So it's a pretty cool feature. Control Shift. You can also click this blue dot. In this case, you are extruding the face, not moving the face. So this could be a nice way. If I hold in Control Shift and click the right dot, in this case is the green color dot, I can extrude the face. Right, so you can easily sculpt the geometries like this fashion. I don't think I want to do this. So going back to the original one, I think this part is okay. You can also hold in Control Shift, click Edge. In this case, you can see at the edge. If you double click, you can actually select the edge loop. Okay. So what is the edge loop? It could be very handy if let's say I want to Control Shift, double click this edge. Right. So I create an edge loop here. Maybe switch back to the low poly. Double click, create edge loop here. All right. So they show up as a yellow color. Then I can say, hey, I probably want to create a hard edge along these edges. So this is called grease. So if I click that, they seem like the same, right? But now if I switch back to tab, smooth version, you see this edge will be preserved as a hard edge. So this could be a really nice trick. If you do Control Shift, double click this edge loop, I want to preserve some of the edges as hard edge, so I can just simply click Add Grease, then tab, switch back to the smooth version, and you see this part, the deck became hard edge. I think this is a pretty good way if you want to, preserve some of the architectural details, right? You probably want to manually select these edges, double click, I don't know, maybe this one also, right? Then you do grease and then tab, right? So you see some of the surface became hard edge. Okay, yeah. So you want to probably sculpt your geometry manually. in this fashion. So maybe this edge should be hard as well. So here I will do Control Shift, double click. So got a bunch of edges be selected. I will just add all of them into a hard edge. Okay, so that's the model looks like. So that's a little bit closer to the original, AI model, right? And here I can see how this rendered. Well, in the render, because all the normal direction is not uniform yet, it looks like a break apart. That's okay. When you bring into other 3D program, there's a bunch of other things you can do. Yeah, I don't think I want to talk too much, but maybe just one more thing. I know you can actually create a mesh from the subdivision model. You can continue manipulate the geometry. There's a lot of things you can do. So take time and play with it. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Oh, by the way, I think if you do want to dive into it, just make sure you watch my tutorial here for the subdivision modeling. I covered a lot of details like how to create a symmetry, how to create a bridge, how to manipulate points, edges. Is all covered here. Okay. At the end, once you have pretty happy with your mesh model, you can convert it into a mesh. Sorry, the SubD model, you can convert to a mesh. Then you can bring it to other program, right? Like Unity, Unreal, whatever game engine you can bring it in. Okay, I hope this will be helpful for you to understand the whole flow between AI, Mid Journey or whatever, into actually a true 3D model. All right. Oh, maybe just a few more clicks. I think it's good to talk just a few more minutes. So once you have a SubD, if you type mesh, right, you can create a mesh from SubD. This is the part I feel is really handy, because if you think of original mesh, it's all random triangles. But now if I just using default click OK, what you have is a very cleaned topology from the SubD. So here if I zoom in, you can see all the mesh surface, they kind of followed the flow of the curve. That is a much more cleaner version than the original one. If I probably I will do one more time. This time I'm not doing more polygons, I will give less polygons. Just make it easier, you can see. Right, you see this topology is very clean. Right, it's much better if I do this side by side. I think this will make more sense. Okay. Right. Do you see the difference? Right. The random triangulated mesh model from AI, and this one is a fully rationalized quad-based clean mesh. All right. Yeah, I hope that make the difference. When you do the rendering, they maybe look similar, right? But this one definitely carry a lot of more orders and logic. Yeah. So here, for this new generated mesh, I will just assign a default material. So this looks like a white color. In fact, I will just assign everything with a white color just to compare. So see, this is SubD. I will give this SubD a default material. Maybe give this one a default as well. Okay. So see the difference. Just want to do really quick. Right, so they all looks a little bit similar, right? This one is from original random triangle from AI, and this is the final refined version. Definitely, even they look similar, but if you really look at the details, right, in the rendering, this will look much more cleaner than the original one. So highly recommend you play with SubD, create a nice clean model. Maybe switch back to shades. Then you can translate this again back to mesh, and in that case you will have very clean topology. Okay, very nice, very clean. Oh yeah, another quick thing. I think if you do want to poke any holes, SubD is always works better than just work on mesh directly. So here, if I'm using Control Shift, click some faces. If I delete, then type again, they became the hole, right? The round corner window. So I do recommend if you do have a few openings, instead of try to manipulate in the mesh level, do this in SubD. Okay, so here Control Shift, maybe I can poke a few openings here, there, delete, then tab. Right, you see these round corner windows. It just makes things much smoother, and later you can translate this back to mesh, and that will preserve this opening nicely. Okay, yeah, to prove we can try mesh. So here, if I move one away, right, you'll see the mesh model preserved this beautiful round corner circle. Same thing here. Okay. All right, I think that's enough for this tutorial.